people will not give you a hard time or question you to a point where it's uncomfortable when you tell them that you've done a financial analysis on it and it's no longer effective for you and your budget and your business. Welcome to the Know Your Worth show, where we teach you how to think about your money differently so that you can achieve your sexy money goals. I'm Sydney, your money maven and owner of Know Your Worth.
And I'm Kristen, Sid's dime piece bestie, team member, and busy mama of twins, here to make sure that those of us without a financial degree can still level up with each episode. Let's get started on reaching your next goal.
Hello, welcome to the Know Your Worth podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sydney Conway.
And I'm your other host, Kristen Fideli. Hi.
And we hope you are doing lovely on this beautiful day, on this beautiful Tuesday.
We are all in our feelings because we're coming to you with kind of a message about the Know Your Worth podcast, but also a little life lesson, because we've always shared with you pretty openly as business owners and, you know, our financial histories. We've always been really vulnerable. So Sid, do you want to do the honors?
Yeah, we are. It's a bittersweet moment to say that we're putting the Know Your Worth podcast on a hold. We're going to be in a holding pattern here. And, you know, it's hard to say when we think we'll come back right now. We have just been kind of exploring a new season of life. And, you know, as I've talked about, I've moved into a new home and school season has started for Kristen and the girls. And, you know, on the Know Your Worth end, one of our key employees is out on maternity leave, and we're so happy her and her lovely daughter are doing well. But it is putting a strain on some of the workload that we have. And we're just trying to make sure that we know what basket our eggs need to go in. And so for now, we need to put the coins in the right box. The egg basket.
Yeah. And when we were talking about this, you know, so it was like, I think it's important to say, you know, as business owners, sometimes you have to choose the thing that you, I don't want to say you don't enjoy the most, but we enjoy this. This is fun for us. So to like put it on hold is hard to do actual real work.
Yes. And I've thought about the book, The Pumpkin Plan, a couple times. So if anyone has ever read the book, Pumpkin Plan, if you haven't, it's a good one. But the gist of it is, as a business owner, and really in life, I think, you know, when you're looking for returns on things, investments on things, so it's not just business, but it's what on your vine of life and of business, when you have multiple pumpkins growing, and this is, you know, a little farming tidbit and gardening tidbit, if anybody out there is a gardener, when you're trying to produce the largest fruits, you need to trim back the fruits that aren't as big. They're not as profitable. They're not as fulfilling. And you need to let grow the largest pumpkin. It's a pumpkin plant. So, you know, right now focusing on our, you know, main business plan of Know Your Worth and our functions that's our pumpkin we need to focus on. So it's a good book. And, you know, it's one of the things that's kind of been in the back of my head with this of we need to clip back some of the smaller pumpkins to let the bigger one flourish right now.
And when the bigger pumpkin flourishes, then we can come back and invest time, you know, talking to each other and talking to you and getting our message out that we feel is so important. But we want to thank you guys for listening. We have loved getting to know our guests that came on. We've loved connecting people via our guests and all the people that have reached out to us. And we also want to give a shout out to Jocelyn, right? And her Connected Content team. She is the one who produces our podcast. She and her team do all our social media graphics and our emails and all the things that make this run. She's an incredible planner. She's incredible at what she does. So if anybody, you know, has a podcast, know that somebody that has a podcast and they're looking for someone to help them in that arena, we would gladly pass her information on because she and her team are the best.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. We could not have done this at all. For a year without her.
For a year. For a year with her knocking on our inboxes like, girls, are you there?
She's great at following up in like a very nice way.
Yes. But doesn't make you feel like a loser.
Yeah, she is fantastic. I would highly, highly, highly recommend her. And I guess, you know, kind of for the rest of this episode, I kind of want to talk about some of the decision making and planning that goes into, this decision. And if you have something like this that you're evaluating in your business and in your life, how can you tell when it's time to, try something new or to stop trying something new,
Mhm.
So a couple changes I know in one of the last episodes we talked about too is Alex and I actually closed the Maverick as well, our co-working space that we had in Gibsonia. And that was a really tough decision as well. But part of the reason for that was distance, travel time. We moved. So that was a big piece of it, was the travel time every day was just too much. We weren't going to get there and it wasn't going to be where we spent our time. But aside from that, there was a big cost benefit analysis as well, as there is with, everything we do in business. So we took a look at kind of what the sales we were making from the Maverick, from the podcast, and we took a look at how we were getting clients, what the effort was that was being put into getting clients. And kind of on both fronts, we realized that it wasn't necessarily that we weren't getting clients. It was that we weren't putting in the effort to get clients. So at the Maverick and at the podcast, we've put in good work to build the product. The product's great. We love the Maverick. It was a great product. It was a great place. The podcast, we love the product. We love the product. We hope it's a great product for people, but bringing the people in is a whole separate stream. It's a whole separate entity of our workflows that we weren't focusing on at the Maverick, and we weren't really focusing on at the podcast. And natural growth is absolutely possible, and it's just slower over time. And, it was doing exactly what we wanted it to do while we were doing it. But to take it to the next level where the cost benefit would have been more on the benefit side, it would have taken a lot more effort and time on our parts for both kind of streams.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I came in and said, if it's not just going to take more money, and then we can get, how much more money would it take to get new people in? At the Maverick, it would have been more advertising dollars. It would have been, maybe more signage. It would have been probably more flexibility with the space. And with the podcast, it's more advertising. It's more advertising dollars. So you have to weigh out what the cost benefit is for those advertising dollars, and ultimately how much of your time is it going to take to do that if that's the space that you're in. So for us, we kind of realized that it just wasn't as efficient for us on the cost benefit side, and some of the financial evaluations that we did and modeling and budgeting, that it just wasn't going to be as efficient for us and as effective as it could have been. So it won't be as financially effective for us either.
Mm-hmm. I think the other side of being a business owner is too the emotional side of not wanting to appear like a failure, not wanting to let yourself down, not wanting to let other people down. What will other people think? And in the end, you kind of have to give yourself grace that you're only one person. Like when I look at you and Alex, like the golf academy, the Maverick, the podcast, Know Your Worth, buying a new house, getting a new dog, traveling to Germany, like something has to give at some point if you want to not drown in your own tears.
Yeah.
And so,
absolutely.
and same with my own life. I mean, I know that there are things business related and non-business related that I have to take a look and be like, if I want to be a functioning human every day that can interact appropriately and not just break down in tears in the middle of Giant Eagle, then I probably have to cut some things out. So I think it's getting like really honest with yourself as a business owner in person of what are you bringing your best effort towards and what are you just making yourself do because you're too proud to put it down.
Yep, absolutely. And I think one of the things along with that of like, I was really uncomfortable initially to tell people that we were closing the Maverick, because that was such a kind of like, more people around us, friends and family, knew that we had the Maverick kind of more than the podcast. I think that, just that they've been there. It was more known to the people I was going to have to like tell, hey, we're closing the space you drive past every day. We're putting up a sign that's going to say it's open for lease, so we're done. And that was more of a gut check for me with like, what are people going to think? That was kind of the first step. And I will say that people will not give you a hard time or question you to a point where it's uncomfortable when you tell them that you've done a financial analysis on it and it's no longer effective for you and your budget and your business. because people were like, oh shit. Like, this is, she took it seriously. Like, and not like, oh, they have no money. It's, oh, the cost benefit isn't there. This is an emotional decision, but it's an unemotional decision at this point of, and I don't know if it's just because, the people that I'm telling this to like know that that's my job as well, to be able to analyze things from that perspective. But, there's a lot of times where I don't want to do something, or to tell my family or my friends like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. Oh, really? Are you sure you don't want to do it?
Are you sure? Like,
actually, and there's a lot of times where you get that and you're like, okay, maybe I'll go do it. Like, fine, I'll go do it. But if you say, actually, I ran the numbers and it's just not financially responsible, and, I need to protect my time a little bit. So in making sure that my life is efficient and the numbers don't support me continuing this. Yeah. So it's bittersweet and we're going to miss it. But this is what's best for my business and for my family's budget. A lot of times people are like, oh, yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Never mind. I can't.
The more resolute you are in what your decision is, the less people are going to question you and the less they're going to talk about it. Because what is there to say? These are my reasons. I'm sticking to it. I'm not open to discussion or any of anybody else's viewpoints. I didn't ask for them. Thanks a lot. See you later.
Yep. Exactly. So I think if you're someone that's in a hard spot for your business and you need to make changes, you need to, cut an income stream, you need to let go of someone, you need to pause on a service. The clearer you can be about it, the better, because when you're wishy-washy, there's a lot of room for interpretation. And if you need to make sure that you're clear on it, find the data to support it too in your own, as much as you can, find the data. And if it's a completely emotional decision of like, this is just wearing on you, stick by it. Like, and it's something that is just draining you from your heart and soul and you can't put a number to it. You just need to stick to it. You're making a decision, just be clear and be honest with people, and they'll respect that more than anything else, I think, too. Yeah.
So with that being said, it's our last piece of advice as we roll back the red carpet. And we really appreciate you guys for following along and watching, and stay tuned for what Know Your Worth is up to next.
Yeah. And if you get through all of our episodes and you end up on this one, you're curious about something, we didn't get to a topic that you were really looking forward to hear, our emails are always open. info@knowyourworthpgh.com. Send us your questions, reach us, on Instagram. We're still going to be fielding comments, questions. We're still going to be, showing up probably a little bit more live on Instagram now, and making sure that we're still engaging with, the audience that was with us and our clients and, the spaces that we want to be in. So reach out to us. Let us know if you have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to talk about. And we will always be here to answer you.
So it's the Money Maven and the Dime Piece Besties signing off.
Thank you so much for listening, and enjoy this Tuesday.
Bye.
Back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you found a bit of inspiration in this episode for achieving your sexy money goals, click the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app or YouTube so that you never miss an episode.